Hello and welcome to the Wellness Wednesday webinar series brought to you by the Family and Community Health Sciences Department of Rutgers Cooperative Extension. Before we get started with the presentation on making resolutions for better health, we'd like to ask you a few questions about your demographics. These questions are used to report to the USDA to ensure we are reaching a diverse population. Also, at the end of the presentation, you'll be asked a few questions about what you thought of the webinar. Please make sure to hit finish and exit when you are complete. Thank you so much for your participation.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to allow just a minute or so for everyone to enter into the group with us. I want to welcome you all to our Wellness Wednesdays with FCHS, the webinar series brought to you by the Family and Community Health Sciences Department of Rutgers Cooperative Extension. My name is Rachel Tanzi, and I will serve as your host today. I am the Senior Extension Associate down here in Monmouth County working with FCHS, and I'm very excited to be hosting this presentation on making resolutions for better health. Certainly a topic we can all benefit from today. By educating ourselves on this topic, I hope that we're able to come up with some good realistic intentions that will support our goals of overall well-being. Also, I just wanted to quickly review the cooperative extension structure for you. For those of you who may not be familiar, Rutgers Cooperative Extension is a partnership between the Board of County Commissioners, Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey, and the USDA's National Institute for Food and Agriculture. We have faculty and or staff in 20 of our 21 New Jersey counties, and we are comprised of 3 departments, including the Agriculture and Natural Resources Department, our 4-H Youth Development Department, and Family and Community Health Sciences, or FCHS, as we often go by. We all provide outreach in New Jersey and beyond, and our department of FCHS focuses on topics related to nutrition, chronic disease prevention, food safety, and overall wellness. We hope you'll visit us on our website for nutrition and wellness related resources, and also follow us on social media. So it gives me great pleasure today to introduce our presenter, Christine Zellers. Christine is a Family and Community Health Sciences county educator in Cape May, where she educates the community on wellness, nutrition, and fitness. She has extensive experience collaborating with partners to create healthy food environments in the areas of policy systems and environmental change. In addition to community health policies, Chris works to educate residents on topics to improve their overall health and prevent chronic disease with a holistic approach to a well-lived quality lifestyle that includes physical activity, a nutrient-dense diet, and quality of sleep. So without further ado, I'll hand things off to you, Chris.
Thanks, Rachel. I appreciate it. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Hopefully you're all safe and well and healthy as we start our new year. Today's presentation, as Rachel mentioned, is resolutions for better health. And I'm not going to give you resolutions on what to do. That's up to you, but just maybe some ideas here today to support you a little bit, as Rachel mentioned, so you can live your best healthy life. So to get started, just a little bit about what we are going to cover today. I'm going to discuss the health goals and why they're important, how to set yourself up for success. That's so important, right? It's really easy to make those resolutions, and even now it's the 5th day in, maybe some of them have gone to the wayside already, but we're going to talk about how to be successful with them, how to reinvigorate them. We're going to use the SMART goal setting system, and we're going to talk about that to make your New Year's goals, and then make this hopefully your best year ever, and set up some really good health objectives for your life to come, not just for this one new year. As you look at making resolutions for better health, try not to focus on the outside, physical outside. Try to think of all the ways good health can make you feel. So really think about how it makes you feel better at work or play and overall. It's really important to look at that, because as I'm going to discuss as we move through the presentation, it could give you good motivation to keep with some of those goals. Good health can contribute to a better quality of life now and as we age. It can lower the cost of co-payments or, cost of healthcare down the line if you're taking care of yourself now. Making resolutions to have better health goals could lead to a better sense of well-being or improved mental health. and it could provide better mobility and ability to care for yourself as you age. So they're really important things that sometimes I don't think we always think about. Setting a good goal for health, it can help. I know for me anyway, it makes me feel like I'm in control. It makes me feel a little more organized to have a goal and then be working at that goal. And I think that, knowing that down the line, hopefully, I'll be a little bit more mobile and able to care for myself and not dependent on others. It's an incentive for me. So maybe that could be an incentive for you as well. Overall, it could just make you feel better, and it could make you, making a health goal or resolution could make you lead your best life. And that's what we want to help you do today for overall wellness. Think of these benefits as and goals and carry them out, not just from last week's New Year's resolution, but all year long. Make them something that you're going to do for the rest of your life, not just for this week or not just for a couple months, but something that you want to do to really make yourself feel better. I know there's been lifestyle changes that I've made throughout my life that have been gradual, but then they accumulate after a while. So really think about things that are going to be healthy for you, not just in this immediate 2022, but that you could build on from year to year, and that you could start out being successful this year and well into the future for your overall health. And we're going to talk about ways to keep your goals for a lifetime and keep that good health for a lifetime, hopefully, too, as we go through the presentation, and make those goals more obtainable. That's an important part, too. No matter what your goal is, if it's keeping your physical or your mental or your emotional health in the forefront, it can be good motivation as your adventure through this task of starting a new habit begins, to focus on that good feeling mentally, physically, and emotionally. Health goals like exercise, eating healthy, and meditating can help reduce the chances of developing chronic disease like diabetes, cancers, and heart disease. So that's why they're good goals to focus on, because as long as you're doing it in a healthful way, then they're good goals, and they're going to help you long term. The health changes that you could benefit from making good changes like exercise or eating healthier or something like that. You could get a better night's sleep. You could have a better sense of well-being overall because you're taking care of yourself. And it could actually lead you to have motivation to make not just the goals that you're setting for 2022 to be healthful changes, but like I've said before, your entire life, like long-term. Goals like healthy relationships and being organized can also support your physical and mental health too. So no matter what your resolution was, it's good to, have that idea and stick with it. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. After a healthy mind, with the organization and the meditation, a healthy mind is just as important as our healthy body. So let's stick with focusing on success here. The reason we often don't keep New Year's resolutions is because the goals are too lofty or they're not really realistic. And it's important to remember that, think about the goal, take a little bit of time to think about things, because sometimes we have all that, it's the end of the year, we're starting a new year, and that's why we made this resolution, but the goal might be a little too unrealistic or lofty. So think about that. We always have good intentions and that ambition, but then, the holidays drift away, reality comes back in view, and we have work and family and overall life, and it makes those goals harder to reach because of the responsibilities that come back to the forefront after the holidays leave us or the new year is kind of drifting away. I used to work at gyms all the time, and there was always that push in the beginning of the year where there's a lot of people with new gym memberships. They had the greatest of intentions, they kind of lose interest, and then you see the numbers drop off really quickly in February. So, let's talk a little bit about focusing on success and how we can make this fit a little bit into the routine of our normal life. And the first thing to remember about doing that is really setting small goals, small steps. So take small steps. Don't bite off more than you can chew. And let's talk a little bit about that here. Taking small steps means that you're making your goals reasonable. Again, I mentioned, setting something too high. If you set out to run a marathon, that's going to take time. You can do it, certainly, but it's going to take time. It's going to take perseverance, and it's going to take a lot of training. So you need to keep that in mind when you're setting your goal. If you're not currently exercising, a long-term goal of running a marathon might be good, but you're going to need to take that small step to start somewhere. So start out maybe by, walking a couple days a week or greater distances and build up from that so that you can get to that goal of a marathon. But, starting out right away and saying, okay, it's January, I haven't exercised, I'm going to run a marathon in February, isn't necessarily a realistic goal. So, you want to take small steps to put that realistic goal into effect. You also want to make sure that your goal is manageable. Try doing something that fits into your lifestyle. First, that won't cause strain on your professional or your personal life, obviously. And then make sure that it's manageable so that it's obtainable. If it's not manageable, like if you can't, it's not something you can stick with and not something you can manage, then it's going to be difficult to do it. Again, an example might be, I use it all the time. People have different times that are good for them to exercise. I know my time is in the morning. If I don't get it done in the morning before work, it's probably not going to happen because life happens. So if you're setting up that goal to run a marathon and you're not going to have time to train for that, then that's within your schedule with family and work and all the other things you need to manage. Then maybe you want to start with a different goal and then build up to that later when it's a more reasonable time and manageable time for you to be able to seek that goal out. You always want to remember to seek the love and support of family and friends. And I've done nutrition counseling before in my background. I've also done smoking cessation counseling in my background. And that was one of the things I always stressed with folks was, seek the support from loved ones and people that are kind to you. And it is important, if there's people in your life that are going to sabotage you and say that, be negative with you or not support you, you might want to hold off telling them until you've been doing it for a little while so that you have your feet on the ground and you're into it and well established in creating a new health habit so that people that are negative don't bring you down. However, finding those people that are your cheerleaders are really important in that. So try to find those people that are going to cheer for you. They're going to support you. They're going to, pat you on the back when you need it, pick you up when you need it, or walk alongside you when you need it. So find those people that are kind to you and love and support you. You also want to be kind to yourself. And this is one that, I feel like we've really started hearing more of lately. There's a professor, Dr. Kristen Neff. She's done a lot of work with this being kind to yourself and how that can influence you and having that positive attitude. So if you're finding yourself a little down on the goals that you've made, or you're not doing as well as you would like, don't beat yourself up. That negative talk to ourselves is not good. It's not healthy. And we want to make sure that we are doing things that are positive, that support ourselves. So if, you find that you're not really feeling it one day, you're having a tough time sticking to whatever that goal was, do something to be kind for yourself. Maybe take a warm bath, maybe go for a walk in nature, or read a book, or do something that makes you feel good so that you're being kind to yourself, and try to find ways to, reward yourself that isn't sabotaging yourself. So for instance, if your goal is to eat less sugary things, then don't reward yourself with a cookie or a piece of candy. Rather, reward yourself by going on a walk or do something that's not going to sabotage your good work already, but that's going to make you feel like you're being kind to yourself. You also want to reward yourself. And again, don't do something that's going to sabotage yourself for rewarding, but find a way to do something that's really going to support that effort. So if, your goal is to exercise more and, you want to reward yourself, then obviously don't skip exercising, but maybe ask a friend to come and exercise with you so you have company. And that's something that makes you feel rewarded because you get to share time with someone that you care about. Allow yourself to restart. So some of you might be restarting already today, even though it's only the 5th of January, and it's okay to restart all year long if you need to. Again, it goes along with being kind to yourself. But, we're human and stuff happens. Life gets in the way, as I said before, and you want to find ways to recognize that you're having a bad day and move on for that and say, okay, I'm going to start over tomorrow. Don't allow it to become a snowball effect where you say, okay, I had a bad day today. Okay, I'm going to have another one tomorrow. Try to pick back up. And if you don't, again, be kind to yourself and start again. but just always, try to do that restart so that you're hitting the goals you want to hit. And remember, these are goals that are important for your health. So they're important to you, obviously, because you've set them, and they're important for your quality and quantity of life. So make sure that you're setting things up so that you can restart. Focus on what you have done. A lot of times we get so super hyper involved in what we're looking at as the long term, like, oh, I want to get into this jeans, or I want to, walk so far, whatever it is. Try to take a step back from that and look at all the accomplishments you've had. Look at yourself and say, wow, this is really great. I can walk further today than I did yesterday or last month or whatever it is. So have a perspective of what you have accomplished and focus on that rather than focusing on how far you need to go still. If you need it, get professional help. That's really important. Sometimes people say you want to start yoga and you've never done yoga before, and you feel that it's really something important, then search out somebody who's a yogi and is good at beginner yoga to help you so that you can start that practice out and enjoy it and do it the right way, so that you have more tendency to stick with it. If your goal is, for instance, quitting smoking, then maybe you want to seek out a professional that is, giving smoking cessation courses or one-on-one counseling for that, so that you're able to, get the most that you need and the support that you need if it's something bigger than what you think you can do on your own. And just remember, out of all these things, there's taking small steps. We're going to take small steps, and we're going to be nice. We're going to try to make it last as long as we can for our lifetime. Setting obtainable goals. Again, I mentioned this in the beginning, and in the beginning of the presentation about taking the small steps for success was the first step, and making the goals obtainable. Let's talk a little bit about that. When I was doing nutrition counseling, as I mentioned before, I had clients that wanted to lose weight, and losing weight is certainly a reachable goal, right? We can all do it. But it's important to remember that the obtainable goals allow for better success. If it's taken you 10 years to gain, 50 pounds, then losing that weight in a month is probably not realistic. And if you do lose that weight, I'm not saying you can't do it, but if you do lose 50 pounds in a month and you haven't done it healthy, then it's probably going to be difficult for you to keep it off long term, which is really what the goal is here. So quick weight loss doesn't always mean healthy weight loss for years to come. And so that makes it somewhat of a not obtainable goal. And we want to provide a health goal that is long term. So in difference, you might want to say, okay, I want to lose the first 10 pounds in the first year or 6 months or whatever it is, and build on that from there. Remember, the long-term goal is to be healthy and to have a better quality of life. Set obtainable goals so that long-term healthy solutions can be your daily life forever, and they're not just a one thing. And I will add a little side note to that. I know I have done talks about healthy weight loss, and I know my colleagues all have too, and what different fad diets mean. And a lot of times the fad diets, if they're things that, are eliminating foods, or if they are not allowing you to have healthy foods like fruits and vegetables and lean protein, and they're probably eliminating things, and it's going to be harder to stick with that. So you want to stay away from those fad diets if that is your goal, and try to do it in a healthy way, so it's something you can sustain for a lifetime. And that's why a lot of those diets don't work, because they remove foods, and then our body is finally like, yeah, I got to have that food. And we go back to the way, eating those things in a not so healthy way. So try to, stick to things that work, like a healthy, well-balanced diet. A great tool for setting those goals, as I mentioned, we were going to cover the SMART method of setting goals. And this could really help to influence you to stay motivated. The SMART system was created by George Doran, Arthur Miller, and James Cunningham. This method of obtaining what you want can be used to support most goals throughout your life. And the original model was actually done as to accomplish management objectives, but it's been used in exercise techniques and all different areas. So it is, it's a good way to set yourself up for success. So that's why I wanted to cover it. As you can see here, the S stands for specific, M is for measured, A is for attainable, R is for realistic, and T is for timely. So let's take a couple minutes actually, and break down these goals to help you understand them a little bit better so that you can really stick with them moving forward into your new healthy lifestyle adventure for 2022. So the first one is specific for the S. Set a specific goal to stay motivated and for instance, you say it's add in one healthy food a day or add in more fruits and vegetables, something like that. You want to try to do it for the next 6 weeks, and that could be your healthy resolution. So it's a specific goal. I'm going to eat more fruits and vegetables for the next 6 weeks. And then when 6 weeks comes, you're going to need to re-up that and say, okay, another 6 weeks of eating these healthy vegetables. It can be easier to focus in on one thing rather than a big lofty goal. Again, going back to those small steps. Taking on too many different goals at once can be overwhelming and hard to keep. Try to be successful by focusing on those specific goals. And it's really easy for us to say, oh, I'm gonna eat healthier in the new year. That's a good goal. But how are you going to eat healthier? Be specific with that. Break it down. Say, I'm gonna eat healthier because I'm gonna have a vegetable at every meal. I'm gonna have fruit for every snack, or I'm going to stop drinking soda once a week, or whatever it is. Then, whatever your goal is, to break it down, be specific, if it's eat healthier, try to be specific and even write it down. That helps to a lot of people to have that list of goals so you can refer back to that again. Oops. Okay, so the second one is M for make the goal measurable. So if you're aiming, for instance, to drink more water, find a way to measure it. So, get a water bottle or something that you can measure out how much you've had in a day, try to stick to that. And that'll give you a measure of how much you've drank of water of your goal in that time frame. And so the goal, no matter if it's water or it's exercise or eating or quitting smoking or whatever it is, more sleep, being more organized, whatever it is, set some type of measurable goal to show how successful you're being, because that's going to make you feel better because you have a kind of a start and finish line with that, so you can measure it out. And again, once you get there and you feel successful and you feel secure in it, then maybe you move it to a little bit more. The next goal is A, which is attainable. The resolution or goal needs to be attainable or achievable, and something you can aspire to do that's relevant to you. So for instance, if you want to quit smoking, that's certainly achievable. But as I mentioned before, you might want to seek the help of a quit center or a support system with smoking cessation so that you can do that, because it might be a little more attainable for you if you have professional help. If it's something, again, that's attainable for you, eating the more fruits and vegetables, how are you going to do that? Make it attainable by saying, okay, I'm going to have at dinner, I'm going to have this number of vegetables. At lunch, I'm going to add vegetables in this way. So it's making it something that is attainable for you. And then we're moving on to the R, which is relevant. Next, the resolution needs to be achievable and something that you can aspire to do that's relevant to you. Your resolution should be individual and what fulfills you. So everybody on this call probably had some kind of resolution, and they're probably all different, but it needs to be something that's relevant to you and relevant to your lifestyle. If you're trying to find ways to relax and focus more on your overall well-being, then maybe meditation or yoga is a relevant goal for you. And so you need to create those health goals that are going to help you feel balanced. And I know I was always trying to meditate and find ways to calm myself so I could stay focused on my other goals more easily. And it was difficult to do, but it was very relevant to me. So in achieving some of my other goals, finding that relevantness in meditation helped to focus me in. So keep that relevance in mind when you're thinking about the SMART goals. And then finally, set a defined timeline for the starting of the goal and how long it's going to take to meet that goal. Remember the other parts of the SMART method when setting this timeline. So for example, R for realistic. Again, if you're setting a timeline for running a marathon and you don't currently exercise, it can be a goal, but it's realistic to put in the amount of time it's going to take you to train to achieve that. And you're going to probably have to do some research to find that out. But you need to set that timeline. Start small so you don't hurt yourself and you aren't sore, if too sore if you're exercising or training or whatever, and set that reasonable timeline for yourself. I always, when I was counseling for nutrition counseling, I always said it did not take, our habits weren't developed in a day. So we're not going to be able to change those in a day. So think about that when you're setting that timeline, and give yourself a little grace and kindness in that timeline so it's obtainable and that you can get there. Setting these SMART goals for the new year will make it easier to track and easier to attain. So they'll be something that you can stick to and stick with, hopefully again, for your lifetime. So who's in it to win it? As promised, we talked about the health benefits we can achieve from small lifestyle changes. And we talked about how to be successful and positive about those resolutions, and how the SMART goal way of setting goals can make sure that we are successful. Now comes the hard part. We all know we want to do it, but how do we stick with those goals so that we're in it to win it? How do we keep them going on and kind of revitalize ourselves so we're not falling short of what we set up on January 1? Having some understanding about the hurdles that might be in front of us when making healthy goals could be really imperative to our success, because recognize that change is not going to happen overnight, and try to focus on what has been accomplished. So again, like I said before, go back and say, wow, I was not able to do this last year. I wasn't able to do 5 push-ups last year, and now I can do 5 push-ups. I've really made that goal, even if your goal is to get to 20 push-ups. So at least you're making progress. Think about your progress, appreciate your progress, and pat yourself on the back for that. I always say when I would teach spin classes, I would always tell everybody, like, pat yourself on your back, you got here. So sometimes it might just be getting to the gym that is your goal, or getting to that workout. That can be the hard part for a lot of us. So, look at what you have accomplished and realize it's not going to change overnight. It's not a 1 month setup. This is for the long haul. We're making good, healthy changes that are reasonable for a lifetime. You also want to look at how you're feeling. Does exercise, give you more energy all day long, or is it helping you sleep better? There might be little things that are happening from your health, better health goals or resolutions that you're not recognizing. So think about other things that are going on in your life. Be a little mindful of how you felt before and how you feel now, and take those into consideration. Take those little wins each day and be thankful that you decided to make a healthy change for yourself. It's something you're doing for yourself. Realize that sticking to something and making it a new habit could take 6 weeks or maybe even more. And remember that it's not for a short term. So if you start doing things and you're 2 weeks in and you're like, oh, I'm trying to lose weight, the scale's not shifting. I'm trying to exercise more and it's really not nice outside. I can't get outside to exercise. Whatever it is, you're going to really need to stick with that goal for 6 weeks to try to see that change. So keep that in mind too. Be real with yourself and saying, well, yeah, I wanted to do it, but I really didn't do it for that 6 weeks. And that might, for some people, that habit might form, the new good habit might form right away, but some people it could take 6 weeks or longer. So just be aware of that and realize it's not a short-term solution that you're aiming for, but rather something that will result in benefits for years to come, as long as you can keep getting back into it. Repetition and keeping goals is really important. If you miss a day, it's okay. Some people like to put it in their calendar. I just got a new day planner and I have it in my calendar, what I'm going to do on that day and how I'm going to do it. Some people need a little bit more flexibility in that. I know some people leave like little stick-it notes on their mirror in the bathroom. There's all kinds of ways to do it, but remember that that repetition is really important, and you need to make it part of your schedule. Try to be a little flexible. Again, I know down here in Cape May County, we still have a ton of snow on the ground, which usually doesn't happen this time of year for us. We're usually a little later in the season, but it's, you know, it's something that you're going to have to find a way around. If you set up to exercise, you know, I'm going to walk every day and there's snow on the ground, then have a contingency plan, a plan B. Be, you know, try to stick with it to have a schedule, but be flexible with that schedule. Find how the schedule might benefit you as you use the tool, but remember, life happens, like I said, and you need to have that ability to be flexible. A good schedule idea might also be to prep salads. You know, so for instance, if you're trying to schedule things out and, you know, again, we're being flexible, but if you're trying to schedule things out, try making a bunch of salads on Sunday to take to work with you. So I really like getting the mason jar and filling all the ingredients up in it. And I chop everything on Sunday. Lay them out. I have 5 days. And then I have them ready to go for work. So if I'm aiming to eat healthier during the week and I'm trying to get that vegetable, remember the vegetable, you have your salad, right? And you put it in the mason jar and you're ready to go. Just a little tip about doing that if you're interested in doing it. I'm going to send you a fact sheet about building a healthier salad that'll help you with doing that. But you want to make sure that you put the ingredients on the bottom and the lettuce on the top of those ingredients when you're making them for the week, so the lettuce doesn't get wilty. And also put the dressing on the side so that the lettuce and the ingredients don't get wilty. But you know, you seal them off in a jar. It doesn't have to be a mason jar if you have some kind of like glass dish and you put the lid on it, but just make sure that the lettuce is on top and the dressing's on the side so you're not getting anything mushy. So that's a schedule that you can stick to. And if you don't get to it on Sunday, then maybe it's Monday night, you know, be flexible about it, like I said, but it's something that'll help you get to your goals. As you progress with your goals, I've mentioned this before, but give yourself a little kindness and stop the bad talk or the criticism. Surround yourself with people that are positive. Think about how how do you talk to a dear friend? I know when my best friend calls me and she says she's having a rough day, I'm not like, suck it up, you should be doing better. You know, I don't talk to her that way. So I shouldn't talk to myself that way. So if I'm having a bad day, we all have off days. It just happens. It's life. So don't be negative with yourself. Rather try to be a little bit kinder to yourself if you're having a bad day, and find that way to do something that, you know, makes you feel good or makes you relax so that you're being kind. And I can't say that enough time, that turning that self-bashing into self-love is really, really important. And, you know, they're starting to do studies on this and try to figure out like just the impact that it has. A lot of people find that a gratitude journal helps them to think more positively about themselves and see the world a little bit more positively. So you could start out each morning by writing down a couple of things that you're grateful for and find rewarding. So maybe, you know, something about you that's positive. Yesterday, my legs were really strong and they really helped me to complete that extra mile that I set up to be my goal for this New Year's resolution. Or, you know, I have a really kind soul and I made my child who was struggling feel better. So things about yourself that are positive, give you gratitude and reinforce that kindness to yourself and that positiveness to yourself. A lot of people like to write it down in a gratitude journal, or again, you could like lay in bed in the morning saying, what positive things can I say about myself today? But beating yourself up is not going to help you to reach your goals. Being positive with yourself and being kind to yourself are going to help you do that. You also want to make sure that you find a way to reset yourself. And I mentioned this earlier. I'm just trying to recap everything I said. Try a lot of people, you know, I think back to when my children were a little younger and we had the process of timeout, right? So something's going on with the child and they're not doing what they should be doing, or they're kind of lost sight of what's going on in the situation, maybe fighting with another child over a toy or something. By taking that time out and setting aside then they, kind of regroup and, get a little more rational about the situation. And I know when my children were really young, I used to give myself mommy timeouts where I would say, okay, mommy needs a timeout now. And I kind of go into the other room, just take a couple deep breaths and, calm down from the commotion of life that is with younger children. So it doesn't hurt when you're having these New Year's resolutions or these goals. It doesn't hurt for you to give yourself a timeout or a break. And this can work effectively in a couple of ways. So if you're trying to restart, then maybe finding a way to meditate or go for a walk in nature or do something that resets you could really help. Or it could help if you're, I find sometimes with exercise, I'm a strong believer that when you are not motivated to get to the gym, it's the hardest part. And I'm one of those people. So, excuse me. So if I take maybe a few minutes to do a quick meditation or body scan, something that resets me, it gives me that motivation to want to do it. Another thing is if you're trying to quit smoking again, or if you're trying to, for instance, maybe not eat sugary food after 6 o'clock at night or at all, or whatever it is, if you take 10 minutes and walk away from wherever you are to try to reset yourself, go for a walk, read a book, do something to delay that, then it's been shown that you kind of forget about it. So especially, I know that was a really good tool when I was teaching the smoking cessation, because if we could say to the people, walk away from that urge or surf that urge so that you get away from it, it was really helpful in stopping them from doing it. And it only took 10 minutes. So try to reset yourself for that 10 minutes to get away from it so that you have that little timeout for yourself. I did want to add before we get to questions, I know a lot of people set stopping smoking, and I mentioned that a few times, as their goal. As I mentioned, I'm a former smoking cessation counselor. And here in New Jersey, we have 11 quit centers that are available. I'm going to put the link there. I also put it in the chat that's on the bottom of the screen there. In New Jersey, we're fortunate enough to have 11 quit centers, and those quit centers have smoking cessation programs. They're all wonderful. They all do it a little bit differently, but they all have the general same concept, where they're offering counseling and nicotine replacement as a grouping so that people are most successful as they can be. So if anybody is in New Jersey and interested, you can go to that website. There are other states. I know Florida, I think, does them. I don't know if there's anybody on the call from Florida or not, but you can check with your state Department of Health to see if they have those programs. And the ones in New Jersey also help to quit vaping. So if anybody or yourself or your loved one wants to stop vaping, then or smoking tobacco products, then that they can reach out in New Jersey or search it out in your home state for at your smoking cessation programs. And some of the hospitals offer them in different states as well. So they're a great resource, and they offer great support to people, and have been shown to be very successful. And finally, this is my contact information. On top of the blue line there is my email, my website for the Cape May County Rutgers Cooperative Extension, and then the Facebook pages for Cape May County Rutgers Cooperative Extension, as well as FCHS in Cape May County. And we do post on the website and Facebook, like all the different information and webinars that we're doing and what's going on. So there's a calendar there. And then below that, there's the FCHS website. That's our statewide website, and the Rutgers Cooperative Extension website. At our FCHS website, we have fact sheets, and we have recipes and recipe videos. There's all kinds of great information, and I encourage you to take a visit there as you're setting your goals. As I mentioned, I'm going to send out the resource for following up. I'll send out a little article that was in the newspaper about setting resolutions that I wrote. And being healthy in 2022. I'm also going to send you some websites for meditation. So self-guided meditation, they'll walk you through it, and they're really free and really good resource. There's a couple on there, so you can figure out which one is most beneficial for you. And then finally, I'm going to send out one of our fact sheets on building a better salad to help you build that better salad for the new year, if that's something you choose to do.